In Algebra 1, Section 10.5, we're dealing with factoring. X squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we're going to use a combination of everything you've learned in 10.4 and 10.2. So basically the method is, if I can get it, remember in the last section I got them into parentheses, and the parentheses equaled 0. And if I made one parentheses equal 0, then the whole thing equals 0 on section 10.4. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to try to make it equal to 0. They're going to give us a quadratic equation, and if we can make them into two parentheses equal to 0, then we do exactly what we did last section. The key is trying to make it into that. So basically the rule is you have two numbers. So if you have an x squared, now this works mainly for if there's only a 1 in front. If there's a number in front, if your a in front of x squared is something else besides 1, then you have a different slight method. But if it's just x squared plus 3x minus 18, then you're going to use this method. Okay? So basically you're going to have two parentheses with an x, and you just have to decide what these two numbers are and whether they're positive or negative. These two numbers, we're going to call them p and q, are magic numbers, okay, that when you multiply them together you get c, which is the last one, okay? So two numbers when multiplied together gets me 18, but when added together, okay, gets me b, which is the middle number. Okay, so I'm going to take the last number. I'm going to take the last number, and I'm going to go ahead and factor it. So things that give me, so I know that negative 6 times positive 3 is 18. I know that, let me see, you have 1 and 18, but that's too big. We have negative 3 and positive 6. We have 1 and negative 18. We have negative 1 and 18. So we have all these possibilities. And the magic one that can be our p and q is if I add them together, it gets me this middle number right here. So let's add them. This together gets me negative 17. Okay, this together, negative 6 and 3, gives me a negative 3. This one gives me a positive 3. Aha! This one gives me a positive 3 when I add them and a negative 18. So these are my magic numbers. So that means I have it doesn't matter which order, I have a negative 3 or positive 6. Or I can do positive 6 and negative 3 because I'm doing multiplication, so it doesn't matter. So then here is my factor. So if they're asking you just to factor it, then I would just stop here. But if they ask you to solve it, then you're going to go ahead and just do what you did in the last section. You do x minus 3 equals 0 and x plus 6 equals 0 and solve. So plus 3. I have x equals 3, and this is negative 6. And I have x equals negative 6. So either this is my factored form, okay, when they ask you to factor, and this means solve. And it just matters on what they want from the directions. So go ahead and write this down, and we're going to try the next one together. So this one, again, remember last section, I can only solve when this is equal to 0, because then this whole method of making it equal to 0 doesn't work. So in order to do that, I need everything on one side of the equal sign. So since there's a 24 here, how do I get it on the other side? Well, the opposite. The opposite of positive 24 is negative 24. So I'm going to minus negative 24 on both sides. Okay, so I have x squared minus 5x minus 24 equals 24 minus 24 is 0. I just have to represent it with 0. And then from there, I just do the same thing that I did over here. Two numbers. I'm going to put two parentheses equal to 0 with x. Okay, two numbers when multiplied together gets me my last number, which is negative 24, but when added together it gets me negative 5. So we have positive 6 and positive 4, sorry, negative 6 and positive 4. This gives me, if I were to add it, I would get negative 2. That's not going to work. Oh, how about negative 8 and positive 3? This added together gives me a negative 5. Ding, 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 ding. Here's my magic numbers. A negative 8 and a positive 3. So again, this is my factored form, and if they want me to solve it, I'm going to do x minus 8 equals 0, and then x plus 3 equals 0. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. I end up with x equals 8, and then I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides. I end up with x equals negative 3. So here are my two answers. Factored, solved. Okay? So try page 599, number 4 and 6, 599, number 4 and 6, and I will see you in class.